Hello, lovely viewers. You are most welcome to our channel Poetry Online. In this video, we shall be presenting to you the detailed analysis of the poem Once Upon a Time by Gabriel Okara. Kindly subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get updates on all our new videos. Once again, let us assure you of a very interesting discussion. Get ready for this lesson. Gabriel Okara was born in 1921 in Bumundi, Bayelsa State, Nigeria. He attended Government College Umuahia, Yaba Higher College, and Northwestern University, where he received his training in journalism. He worked as an information officer for the defunct Eastern region of Nigeria. He worked in different capacities in the public sector, including serving as a Commissioner of Information in the Old River State, Nigeria, before retiring to writing children's books and poetry. His poetry and narratives dwell a lot on cultural identity. His creativity won him the Commonwealth Poetry Prize in 1979. His first published and best-known collection of poetry is Fisherman's Evocation, and today we are going to study his poem Once Upon a Time. Let us take our first reading of the poem. Once upon a time, son, they used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes, but now they only laugh with their teeth, while their eyes blow cold eyes surge behind my shadow. There was a time indeed, they used to shake hands with their hearts, but that's gone, son. Now they shake hands without hearts, while their left hands search my empty pockets. Fail at home, come again, they say, and when I come again and fail at home, once, twice, there will be no tries, for then I find doors shut on me. So I have learned many things, son. I have learned to wear faces like dresses: home face, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles, like a fixed portrait smile. And I have learned to laugh with only my teeth, and shake hands without my heart. I have also learned to say goodbye when I mean good riddance, to say glad to meet you without being glad, and to say it's been nice talking to you after being bored. But believe me, son, I want to be what I used to be when I was like you. I want to unlearn all these mutant things. Most of all, I want to relearn how to laugh, for my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth, like a snake's bare fangs. Show me, son, how to laugh. Show me how I used to laugh and smile once upon a time when I was like you. In the poem Once Upon a Time by Gabriel Okara, the speaker reflects on the profound societal changes that have led to a loss of authenticity and genuine human emotions. With 43 lines spread across 7 stanzas, the poem is written in free verse, lacking a specific rhyme scheme, and it is initiated with a familiar phrase, once upon a time, traditionally associated with fairy tales. However, this story is far from the idealized world of fairy tales. It speaks to the speaker's lamentation over the erosion of sincerity in modern societies. The speaker presents himself as a victim of these societal transformations, particularly those influenced by Western culture. He feels he has lost his true identity and no longer recognizes himself, as the norms of his society have pushed him into a mold of superficiality. Once, people live authentically, expressing true emotions and engaging in sincere gestures. Now, the speaker sees himself and others as part of a world where artificiality and hypocrisy reigns. Through simple everyday actions, such as greetings, handshakes, and farewells, the speaker explains to his son how these once meaningful exchanges have become hollow in the present day. In earlier times, a smile, a handshake, or a hello were genuine expressions of goodwill and warmth. Now, however, these actions have lost their sincerity, with people laughing only with their teeth. Their eyes are cold and emotionless as they hide their true feelings. The speaker highlights how societal changes have fostered a culture in which people wear masks, concealing their real emotions behind empty gestures. The poem paints a bleak picture of modern society in which people have learned to function in an environment where showing one's true self is often impractical or even undesirable. The speaker sees this as a departure from a time when simplicity and heartfelt interactions were the norm, emphasizing the shift towards a world where appearances take precedence over genuine connections. The speaker regrets the loss of authenticity in his life and yearns to return to the simpler, more sincere days of the past. By addressing his son, he hopes to convey a sense of hope that perhaps the younger generation, with their untainted perspective, can help rediscover the sincerity that has been lost. The speaker in this poem reflects on a time when people expressed new emotions and compassion towards one another. He expresses regret over the present state of affairs, where such sincerity has faded. The speaker feels that society has lost the innocence and openness he now observes in his younger son, and he longs to reclaim that innocence. The poem opens with a familiar phrase, once upon a time, which recounts that what the speaker is about to recount belongs to a distant past, almost like a fairy tale, something so rare or unbelievable in today's world that it might not be taken seriously. This highlights the idea that genuine emotional honesty has become so scarce that it feels almost fictional. The poem sets up the contrast between hearts and faces, using hearts to represent sincere emotions. When people laughed and shook hands with their hearts, their emotions were genuine and heartfelt. However, now they laugh with only their teeth, not truly engaging with their eyes. The cliche that the eyes are the windows to the soul holds truth. Our eyes reveal what we're really feeling. When someone laughs with their eyes, their true emotions shine through. But a smile made with just the teeth is empty and reveals nothing. Additionally, the people's eyes have become ice block cold, signifying emotional detachment and a lack of warmth. People have become dishonest, pretending to care when they don't, and even searching someone's empty pockets while shaking hands, reflecting insincerity and deceit. The speaker then acknowledges that he has adapted to this insincere world by behaving the same way, thus hiding his true emotions and speaking words he doesn't mean. He expresses this adaptation by saying he has learned to wear many faces, like dresses, implying that just as one changes clothing, he changes his faces, thus his behavior depending on the situation. These faces represent the different social marks people wear in various contexts: home face, office face, and street face. These faces are not inherently evil, but rather necessary to navigate social life. Just like most people, the speaker has adopted these different roles depending on his environment, whether at work, home, or social gatherings. However, the speaker yearns to return to the innocence of his young son, someone who is still genuine and unguarded, referring to the way he has silenced his authentic emotions in order to fit into societal expectations. The false smile, which shows only my teeth, like a snake's bare fangs, serves as a symbol of a facade. The comparison of a snake's bare fangs gives the smile a dangerous, venomous quality, further emphasizing the artificiality of its expression. The speaker laments on the loss of his own innocence and hopes that his son can teach him how to rediscover the true and guarded way of expressing emotion. The poem explores the theme of societal insincerity, the loss of innocence, and the desire to return to a time when emotions were freely expressed and understood. The speaker reflects on how life's complexities have led him to adopt false fronts while yearning to regain the authenticity and openness that once existed in his interactions. In the first stanza, the poet begins with the phrase, "once upon a time," signaling that what he is about to describe belongs to a distant past, so distant in fact that it might seem far-fetched or almost unbelievable in the present day. The use of the first person persona, as the speaker directly addresses his son, creates a personal and intimate tone. The speaker reflects nostalgically on how in the past people expressed their emotions genuinely, such as when they used to laugh with their hearts. This indicates that laughter was once a true heartfelt emotion. However, the current reality is different. People now laugh with their teeth. This metaphor suggests that their laughter no longer comes from within, but is a mere surface level expression, indicating a lack of genuine emotion behind the action. In the second and third stanzas, the poet continues to reflect on the past. He explains that people used to demonstrate sincerity in their actions, such as using their hearts to interact with one another. However, in the present, this sincerity has been replaced by superficial gestures. People no longer show genuine hospitality or kindness. Instead, they are only concerned with what they can gain from others. The speaker further emphasizes this shift by pointing out how the hospitality of people once offered has been replaced by closed doors. This symbolizes rejection and a lack of warmth, indicating how the new connections of the past have been replaced by coldness and opportunism. In the fourth and fifth stanzas, the poet expresses how he has adapted the insincerity around him. He confesses that he has also learned to wear many faces like dresses. This metaphor illustrates how the speaker, like everyone else, has learned to put on different faces or personas depending on the social context or situation, much like changing clothes. These faces are artificial and lack real emotional depth. The speaker compares himself to a fixed portrait whose actions and expressions are no longer genuine, but instead programmed to fit societal expectations. This illustrates his transformation into the very kind of person he once criticized for their insincerity. In the final two stanzas of the poem, the speaker once again addresses his son. He expresses regret over the transformation into a lifeless, emotionless figure, akin to the very people he once despised. The speaker longs to return to the innocence of his youth, when emotions were freely expressed, and he could show warmth and sincerity without the need for social masks. The speaker wishes to regain the ease of showing true emotions and hopes his son will continue to embody this authenticity. The use of the repetition of the phrase, once upon a time, in both the beginning and ending of the poem, highlights the cyclical nature of the speaker's feelings. It also reinforces his desire to return to a simpler, more genuine way of living. Once upon a time, before he became entangled in the artificial roles he now plays. Additionally, the repetition of the word heart throughout the poem is significant. The heart symbolizes sincerity, emotion, and genuine connection, and its repeated mention highlights the contrast between true feelings and the hollow surface level interactions that have replaced them. The word heart is emblematic of the speaker's longing for a time when people truly connected with one another on an emotional level rather than through superficial marks and self-serving actions. In concluding this aspect of our summary, Once Upon a Time by Gabriel Okara is a poignant poem about the loss of innocence and the impact of social change on the human spirit. The speaker reflects on how life has changed from a time of genuine heartfelt interaction to one of superficial hollow exchanges. He contrasts the warmth and sincerity of the past with the cold and insincere behavior of the present. The poem begins by describing how in the past people would laugh and shake hands with genuine warmth, but now they only laugh with their teeth and their eyes remain cold and calculating. The speaker observes how people now shake hands without true feelings, only to search his empty pocket afterward, a metaphor for the greed and selfishness that have replaced authentic connection. The speaker reflects on the way in which these superficial behaviors have become the norm, especially in social interactions. He mentions how he has learned to wear different faces in various contexts, at home, in the office, on the street, at social events, each one hiding its true emotions behind a fixed smile. He has learned to speak politely and to say things like goodbye and it's been nice talking to you, even when he doesn't mean them. Despite his acceptance of this new way of living, the speaker expresses a deep longing to return to the genuine and tainted way of being that he had as a child. He wants to unlearn the mutant things that he has absorbed, thus, insincerity, the loss of warmth, the inability to truly laugh or feel. His desire is to relearn how to laugh with joy and authenticity, just as he did when he was young, when life was simpler and interactions were heartfelt. The poem highlights the theme of loss of innocence and authenticity in a world that increasingly values appearances and materialism over true human connection. The speaker's yearning to return to the past serves as a powerful critique of the social changes that have led to his emotional distance. The poem suggests that, in the pursuit of social success and survival, people have lost their ability to truly connect with one another. Let's now take a detailed analysis of the lines contained in the poem, starting with the first two lines of the poem. Once upon a time, son, they used to laugh with their hearts. The speaker opens the poem with a nostalgic reference to the past, using the familiar phrase, once upon a time, which typically signals the beginning of a fairy tale or a story from the past. This phrase immediately sets the tone for the poem, suggesting a longing for a time when things were simpler and more genuine. By saying, once upon a time, the speaker begins what seems like a fairy tale, addressing the next generation, his son, or perhaps a grandson. This establishes a tone of passing down wisdom to a younger generation, while also evoking a sense of innocence and warmth that the speaker feels is missing in the present. The choice of son serves as a direct appeal to the younger generation, emphasizing the speaker's role as a father or grandfather. He seems to impart his understanding of a time when human interactions were more sincere and genuine. Through this address, the speaker is not only telling a story, but also warning us about the loss of these qualities in modern society. He highlights the disconnect between people's actions and their true emotions, pointing out that society has become more superficial and less connected to authentic feelings. As the speaker reflects on the past, he describes a time when people used to laugh with their hearts. Here, the word they refers to native Africans, or perhaps society at large, symbolizing a time when actions and emotions were unified. The phrase, laugh with their hearts, implies that, in the past, laughter was not just a surface level expression, but something genuinely deeply coming from within. It evokes an image of laughter that involved the whole being. The joy felt was not just expressed through the mouth, but was seen in the eyes and felt in the heart. This kind of laughter was spontaneous, heartfelt, and connected people in a meaningful way. This contrast between the past and the present highlights the loss of authenticity in modern times. The speaker is making a stark distinction between a time of true connection and the present, where such genuine expressions of joy and emotion have become rare. Through the metaphor of laughter, the speaker captures the essence of what has been lost. Thus, sincerity, warmth, and a deep connection between people. And laugh with their eyes, but now they only laugh with their teeth. The contrast between the past and the present is sharply highlighted in the poem. The speaker reflects nostalgically on a time when laughter was genuine, something that came from the heart and reflected in the eyes. In the past, laughter was a holistic experience. It wasn't just a physical expression, but an emotional release that involved the entire being. The eyes, often regarded as a window to the soul, were integral to this authenticity. When people laughed, their eyes would reflect the true emotions behind the smile, revealing their inner thoughts and feelings. In contrast, in the present, the speaker laments the loss of this authenticity. People now laugh with their teeth, a phrase that conveys an insincere false expression. This suggests a societal shift where outward experiences have become disconnected from genuine emotions. The smile is no longer a natural expression of joy or amusement, but a mere facade, a hollow gesture made out of social obligation or politeness. This change reflects a broader cultural trend towards superficiality, where people are less willing or able to show their true selves, hiding behind artificial behaviors and insincere actions. By using this stark contrast, the speaker emphasizes how societal values and norms have shifted over time, replacing authenticity with superficiality and fostering a culture where appearances were prioritized over genuine emotional connection. While their eyes block cold eyes, search behind my shadow. The poem emphasizes the sharp contrast between the past and the present, especially in the way people express emotions. The speaker highlights that, in the past, laughter was holistic, encompassing not just the face, but the eyes and the heart as well. This suggests that laughter was genuine, sincere, and deeply connected to one's inner feelings. The eyes, often referred to as a window to the soul, reveal what is truly in a person's mind and heart. Therefore, when people laughed, their eyes reflected the joy and sincerity they felt within. The phrase, laugh with their eyes, is significant because it portrays a time when emotions were communicated honestly and fully. The eyes were a direct extension of the emotions within, making the laughter truly authentic. It evokes an image of a society where emotional connections were real and people's expressions were aligned with their true feelings. In contrast, the present is depicted as a time where people laugh with their teeth. This suggests a more superficial form of laughter, a forced smile that lacks depth or sincerity. The teeth, cold and expressionless, are a stark contrast to the warmth and expressiveness of the eyes. The teeth here symbolizes a facade, a smile that is not a true reflection of joy, but rather an outward show of politeness or pretense. This shift from genuine superficial is indicative of a broader societal change where actions and emotions have been disconnected. The speaker highlights how, in modern times, people's outward expressions no longer reflect their true feelings. The false smile suggests a world where social norms and expectations have taken precedence over authenticity, and people no longer express their emotions honestly or openly. The contrast between the laughter of the past and the present underscores the loss of sincerity and human connection in the face of societal changes. There was a time indeed they used to shake hands with their hearts. In the following lines, the speaker continues to reflect on a time when human interactions were genuine and meaningful. The phrase, shake hands with your hearts, conveyed that handshakes were once more than just physical gestures. They were a symbol of true emotional connection. The act of shaking hands was an expression of mutual respect, trust, and understanding. It was a moment of genuine human connection where both individuals communicated warmth and sincerity through this simple but powerful gesture. The speaker contrasts this with the present, where such sincerity seemed to have been lost. Today, handshakes have become more formal or even mechanical, with little to no emotional depth behind them. What was a sincere expression of trust and goodwill has now become a hollow ritual. The speaker laments this loss, highlighting how people's interactions have become disconnected from genuine emotions. As people's actions have become more superficial and self-serving, even gestures of friendship and respect, like handshakes, have lost their authenticity. The speaker's use of shake hands with their hearts is a poignant reminder of the time when people's relationships were founded on mutual respect and emotional sincerity. Thus, qualities that seem increasingly rare in today's world. The loss of such authentic connection is a source of sadness and regret for the speaker, who yearns to return to those simpler, more genuine times. But that's gone, son. Now they shake hands without their hearts. The speaker bemoans the loss of genuine human connection, emphasizing that authentic interactions of the past are now irretrievably gone. The phrase, "that's gone," underscores a sense of finality, signaling that the warmth and sincerity once present in people's gestures and interactions have been lost forever. The shift is further illustrated when the speaker observes that people now shake hands without their hearts. This expression highlights how what was once a meaningful gesture has been reduced to a mere formality. Handshakes, which were once symbols of mutual respect and emotional connection, have become mechanical and superficial. The emotional depth that once accompanied these gestures has been drained, leaving behind only the outward action without the genuine sentiment that it once conveyed. By saying that people now shake hands without hearts, the speaker critiques the growing emotional disconnect in modern society. It reflects a world where relationship and social interactions are increasingly governed by surface level politeness devoid of real warmth, sincerity, or meaning. In a world where people no longer express their true feelings, gestures like handshakes, which were once grounded in human connection, have lost their significance. This shift reflects the broader theme of societal change that the speaker regrets, one where genuine human relationships have been replaced by hollow transactional interactions. While their left hands search my empty pockets. The metaphor of empty pockets further deepens the critique of modern social interactions. It symbolizes how the speaker feels exploited in the society where relationships have become transactional. In the past, handshakes were a sign of mutual respect and genuine connection. Now, however, they are reduced to hollow gestures, carrying no emotional weight. People may extend their hands in greeting, but their true motivations are selfish and opportunistic. The handshake, which once signified goodwill, is now merely a way for people to assess what they can gain from others. The empty pockets represents the speaker's feeling of being drained or exploited. Despite offering nothing of value, neither materially or emotionally, he is still subject to being taken advantage of by others. People no longer engage in interactions for sincerity, but rather as a means of furthering their own interest. This transactional nature of relationship is not just limited to material gain, but also to the emotional manipulation that people may engage in for personal advantage. The social niceties are maintained, but they no longer reflect genuine care or concern for one another. The speaker's lament reveals a shift in societal values, where connections are made based on what one can gain from another. Thus, whether it be wealth, status, or influence, social interactions have become more about exploiting others for personal gains rather than fostering meaningful bonds built on trust and shared experiences. This loss of genuine connection and the rise of exploitation underlines the broader theme of degeneration and demoralization in modern society that the speaker so deeply mourns. In his words, relationships are no longer about mutual respect or care. They have been reduced to mere transactions where people are only valued for what they can offer or provide. Fail at home, come again, they say. And when I come, the speaker's reflection on the phrases fail at home and come again highlights the growing insincerity in social interactions. These phrases, which were once genuine expressions of hospitality and warmth, have become mere social rituals. They are said with little to no intention behind them, simply as part of a cultural script that people follow to appear polite or well-mannered. The speaker points out that, despite hearing these words, there is no real invitation or expectation behind them. The phrase "feel at home" is supposed to convey a sense of belonging, a welcome invitation to relax and be comfortable. However, the speaker's experience reveals that these words have lost their true meaning. They are no longer expressions of genuine care or warmth, but rather empty pleasantries spoken without any real consideration for the person being addressed. Similarly, "come again" is meant to suggest that the door is always open, that the host will welcome the person back. But for the speaker, this phrase no longer holds any truth. It's only another formality. something people say to maintain a facade of politeness. The speaker's disillusionment with these phrases suggests a broader societal shift away from authentic, meaningful connection towards superficial exchanges that lack depth. People say this word out of habit, without any emotional investment or sincere desire to foster relationships. In a world where these rituals are performed merely for the sake of appearances, the warmth and hospitality they once symbolized are lost, leaving behind only empty words that no longer carry the value they once did. This realization highlights the speaker's sense of alienation and disconnection from a world that has become increasingly hollow and disingenuous. And when I come again and feel at home, once, twice, there will be no tries, for then I find doors shut on me. The speaker, initially hopeful and trusting in the sincerity of these social invitations, begins to realize the deception behind them after repeated visits. At first, the words, feel at home and come again, held a sense of warmth and genuine hospitality in his mind. He believed that these were expressions of genuine care, indicating that he was always welcome. However, as he returns, expecting the warmth that was promised, he discovers the harsh reality that the doors are now closed to him. The phrase, no tries, symbolizes the breaking of this unspoken social contract. It suggests that once the speaker is no longer needed or wanted, the illusion of hospitality fades and he is rejected. The speaker's repeated attempts to return, only to find that the doors are closed, reflect the fleeting and hollow nature of these social gestures in modern times. The promise of acceptance and inclusion turns out to be empty as people no longer follow through their words or actions. As a father, the speaker is passing down his disillusionment with the falsehood of modern society to his son, urging him to recognize that in today's world, people's actions often do not align with their true feelings and emotions. The once genuine connections and values of the past have been replaced with insincerity and pretense. The false promises of hospitality and openness reflect a society that has lost a sense of genuine human connection, and the speaker's frustration is clear. He longs for a time when relationships were built on sincerity, but the modern world seems to have abandoned those values. The imagery of closed doors at the end of the stanza represents rejection and alienation, signaling that once people have no further use of the speaker, they cast him aside. This marks a stark contrast from the past, where social bonds were genuine and lasting, and the idea of no tries emphasizes the coolness and transience of modern interactions. It serves as a poignant reminder of how society's values have shifted and how human relationships have become transactional, with little regard for emotional authenticity. So I have learned many things, son. I have learned to wear many faces. The speaker acknowledges the changes in him, recognizing how he has adapted the superficial and insincere world around him. The phrase, wear many faces, serves as a metaphor for the way he has learned to present different personas depending on the social context he finds himself, highlighting the pressure to conform to societal expectations. The speaker no longer acts as his true self, but instead dons various faces to fit in, whether it's in a professional setting, social gathering, or public space. This shift suggests a significant departure from the past, when people's identities were more aligned with their inner truths and emotions. Now, the speaker has been conditioned to hide his true feelings and emotions, and instead present whatever persona is necessary to navigate different situations. The phrase, wear many faces like dresses, emphasizes how these personas are not part of his true self, but are external and changeable, much like clothing that can be put on and taken off based on need or expectation. The speaker's use of faces also points to the idea of masks, representing the roles people must play in modern societies in order to be accepted. In essence, the speaker has learned to become socially chameleon-like, changing his personality to fit in with varying social groups and expectations. This behavior reflects how modern societies pressure individuals to adapt to politically correct norms and social conventions, often at the expense of authenticity. The speaker's realization to how he has adapted to this insincere environment highlights the tragic loss of innocence as he now mirrors the same behavior he once critiqued. His ability to wear many faces suggests that he has succumbed to the forces of modernity, where social survival often requires people to disconnect from their true selves. What was once natural has now been replaced by a calculated performance of politeness and decorum, a far cry from the genuine connections of the past. Like dresses, home face, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles. The speaker poignantly describes how he has become shaped by the need to adapt to various social contexts, leading him to wear different faces for different settings, such as home face, office face, and street face. The metaphor of faces as dresses underscores the idea that these personas are superficial and interchangeable, much like clothing that are put on or taken off depending on the situation. These faces are not authentic. Instead, they serve as masks that help the speaker to conform to societal expectations and norms, masking his true identity in favor of fitting in. The phrase, conforming smiles, emphasizes how these expressions are no longer genuine, but are instead performed for the sake of social decorum. These smiles, unlike in the past, when they were spontaneous and heartfelt, are now calculated and designed to please others or maintain the appearance of politeness rather than reflecting true emotion. In this modern world, individuals have learned to adopt formal, polite, and ultimately meaningless behavior, suppressing their real feelings in favor of socially adapted responses. The smiles and faces of people present are no longer expressions of inner joy or connection, but rather products of social conditioning, devoid of depth and sincerity they once held. The speaker's reflection of this change reveals a deep sense of loss, as genuine emotions and natural connections of the past have been replaced by these hollow standardized interactions that prioritizes politeness and conformity over truth and authenticity. Like a fixed portrait smile, and I have learned to laugh with only my teeth. The fixed portrait smile is a powerful metaphor in the poem, symbolizing the artificial nature of modern expressions of joy or happiness. Just like a portrait smile, which is frozen in time and devoid of any real emotion, the smiles people wear in modern societies are staged and unchanging. These smiles are crafted to create a perfect socially acceptable image, masking any true feelings behind them. They represent an idealized version of happiness, one that conforms to societal expectations but lacks the warmth or authenticity of real emotion. The speaker reflects on his own laughter, which has become equally insincere. His laughter, like a smile, is mechanical and forced, a mere facade to hide his true feelings. By laughing with only my teeth, the speaker underscores the emptiness of his emotional expressions. His laughter no longer comes from a place of joy or spontaneity, but is instead a learned behavior that conforms to the outward appearance of happiness. This critique of society reveals how expectations have shaped the speaker into someone who no longer feels able to express their new emotions. Instead of laughing or smiling because he truly feels joy, he does so out of habit or social necessity, as an empty ritual rather than an expression of his true self. The irony in this realization is that the speaker, despite criticizing the superficiality of modern life, has adopted the very behaviors he once condemned. He has become part of the very system he criticizes, engaging in fake expressions of joy, not because he feels happy, but because society conditions him to behave this way. His forced smiles and mechanical laughter illustrate the deep impact societal pressure have had on his ability to connect with his true emotions. This highlights the struggle between personal authenticity and societal expectations, where the need to fit in often leads to suppression of one's true self. And shake hands without my heart. I have learned to say goodbye when I mean good riddance. The speaker's admission that he has learned to shake hands without my heart highlights the extent to which he has adapted to the world of superficiality. Handshakes, once a symbol of mutual respect and warmth, have now become hollow gestures devoid of any emotional connection. The speaker's heart no longer accompanies his handshakes, reflecting the disconnection between outward actions and inner emotions in modern society. This line also suggests a loss of trust and sincerity, as the speaker recognizes that he no longer engages in genuine interactions, but instead performs socially acceptable rituals without truly meaning them. The phrase, goodbye, when I mean good riddance, further emphasizes the theme of emotional masking. The speaker reveals that his use of polite words and social pleasantries has become insincere, reflecting the way in which society forces individuals to conform to expectations and suppress their true feelings. Goodbye has become just another empty word, no longer an honest expression of pattern, but a formalized gesture used to avoid confrontation or discomfort. This admission from the speaker speaks to the broader themes of disillusionment with modern social norms, where politeness and good manners often marks underlying feelings of resentment, indifference, or even hostility. The speaker's words convey a sense of frustration and loss, as he acknowledges how deeply ingrained these hollow expressions have become in his life, even when they contradict his true emotions. Ultimately, this line reinforces the idea that social niceties are now performed without genuine sentiment, highlighting the social erosion of authenticity in everyday interactions. To say glad to meet you without being glad, and to say it's been nice talking to you after being bored. The speaker's ability to say glad to meet you despite not feeling it, and it's been nice talking to you despite being bored, further critiques the falseness that has permeated everyday interactions. These lines demonstrate how societal norms have conditioned individuals to say what is expected of them, regardless of whether it aligns with their true feelings or emotions. The phrases that were once the new expressions of emotions and social connection have become nothing more of empty formalities. The speaker's ability to utter this socially prescribed sentiment without sincerity reflects the societal pressure to conform to expectations of politeness, even when they conflict with one's actual emotions. The contrast between the words and the feelings they are meant to convey highlights the superficial nature of modern communication, where the emphasis is placed on maintaining a socially accepted facade rather than fostering genuine connections. This behavior speaks to the broader critique of how modern society has reshaped communication and interaction, encouraging individuals to engage in scripted performative exchanges rather than authentic, heartfelt conversations. The speaker laments how social norms have stripped away true emotional expressions, leaving behind words that are uttered out of obligation rather than genuine sentiment. In so doing, he emphasizes the loss of meaningful connection in favor of maintaining appearances. But believe me, son, I want to be what I used to be. The speaker's plea, believe me, son, marks a shift in tone as he expresses a deep yearning for authenticity and simplicity. This phrase carries a sense of sincerity and vulnerability as the speaker emphasizes his desire to return to a time when his emotions and actions were genuine, unguarded, and unaffected by the insincerity that has come to define the present world. In this moment, the speaker is not merely reflecting on the past, but also urging his son to understand and believe in the sincerity of his desire to recapture that innocence and honesty. By saying, "Believe me, son," the speaker is seeking to reassure his son that he is not simply lamenting the changes in society for the sake of nostalgia. Instead, he is making a sincere appeal to return to a state of emotional purity and authenticity that he once knew, but is now lost. It is a moment of personal reflection and longing, where the speaker acknowledges his own disillusionment with the world around him and the role he has had to play within it. This appeal also highlights the generational divide between the speaker and his son. The speaker's experiences of genuine connection and emotional authenticity are now distant memories. Once he wishes to impart to the younger generation in hopes that they will not fall prey to the same societal pressures that have shaped his own life. This yearning for simplicity is not just a personal desire, but a plea for the preservation of sincerity in future generations, a call to hold on to what was once real in a world that now values appearances over authenticity. When I was like you, I want to unlearn all these mutant things. The speaker's yearning to return to a time of innocence and authenticity is evident in his desire to unlearn all these mutant things. This phrase highlights how societal pressures and learned behavior have slowly silenced his true emotions and natural expression. The use of mutant things suggests that the speaker feels his real voice has been stifled by the necessity to conform to social expectations. Over time, these expectations have made him adopt insincerity, pushing him further away from his authentic self. By referring to this behavior as mutant things, the speaker portrays them as external forces that have dulled his emotional expression, reducing his ability to be genuinely himself. The unlearning he speaks of is a desire to strip away the layers of social conditioning that have made him to conform to superficial norms. He looks back to a time when he, like a son, was free of this constraint, a time when his emotions were not filtered or forced into a mold by societal expectations. This longing for authenticity reflects a deep disillusionment to the world around him, where the pressures to fit in and conform have caused him to lose touch with his true identity. The speakers hope to shed the mutant things and regain the innocence and genuineness he once had, much like the youthful purity he sees in his son. It is a desire to reclaim the simplicity and honesty that characterized his earlier untainted self. Through this, he hopes to reconnect with his true emotions and voice, breaking free from the constraint that modern society has imposed on him. Most of all, I want to relearn how to laugh, for my laugh in the mirror. The speaker's profound desire to relearn how to laugh genuinely reveals his internal conflict and deep yearning to reclaim his true self. His laughter, which was once an authentic expression of joy, has now become mechanical and forced. He longs to rediscover what it means to laugh from the heart, not just through a fixed hollow smile that has come to define his interactions in the modern world. This longing for genuine laughter signifies the loss of his true identity, as he has been shaped by societal pressure to conform to artificial ways of being. In addressing his son, the speaker acknowledges how thoroughly he has absorbed the weight of the modern society, so much so that his natural heartfelt responses are slipping away. His transformation is so profound that he no longer recognizes himself in the mirror. His once genuine, spontaneous emotions that defined his personality have been replaced with a set of learned behaviors dictated by societal expectations and norms. The image of being unrecognizable in his own mirror highlights a deep sense of alienation the speaker feels. He has become so distant from his authentic self that even he can no longer recognize the person he once was. This transformation represents a loss of innocence and sincerity, and the speaker yearns to regain the simplicity of his earlier days before societal pressure took hold. Through his reflection on his forced laughter and insincere behavior, he realizes that he has been molded by external influences. His desire to laugh genuinely and reclaim his lost authenticity is a powerful cry to return to the emotional honesty he once knew. Shows only my teeth, like a snake's bare fangs, So show me, sun. The speaker's encounter with his own reflection in the mirror serves as a stark realization of how far he has drifted from his true self. The image of his laugh, likened to a snake's bare fangs, presents a sharp and unnatural image that starkly contrasts with the laughter of his past. This comparison to a snake is particularly significant as it evokes a sense of danger, deception, and coldness, qualities that are far removed from the warmth and sincerity that the speaker once embodied. A snake's fangs are often associated with threat and deceit, reflecting the emptiness of his false smile and laughter, which now concealed a deeper discomfort and sense of disconnection. The snake's bare fangs metaphorically expose the hollowness of the speaker's interactions. His laugh, once a symbol of joy, has become a mask that conceals his true emotions and serves only to maintain appearances in a world where sincerity is increasingly rare. The image of the snake's fangs, thus, becomes a symbol of societal pressures that have stripped away the speaker's ability to express authentic emotions, leaving only a mechanical, disconnected version of himself. In asking his son to show him how to laugh genuinely again, the speaker acknowledges the purity and authenticity that the younger generation, particularly his son, still possesses. The son represents a contrast to the speaker's own disillusionment and false conformity. Through his request, the speaker expresses a deep yearning to return to a time of innocence and emotional honesty, qualities that he believes his son still embodies. The sun becomes a symbol of hope for the speaker as he seeks guidance from him to rediscover the authenticity and joy that he has lost. How to laugh. Show me how I used to laugh and smile. In this poignant moment, the speaker reaches out to his son, pleading for guidance on how to laugh honestly and naturally once again. The speaker's request represents a deep yearning to return to a time when laughter was pure, untainted by the pressures of adult life and societal expectations. The speaker feels a profound sense of loss as the burdens of adulthood have gradually eroded his capacity to experience a new joy and emotion. The laughter he once had, full of innocence and authenticity, has been replaced by a hollow false expression shaped by the demands of the world around him. By turning to his son, the speaker hopes to reconnect with the simplicity and purity of youth, where emotions were unguarded and unpretentious. The son represents a source of emotional truth, untouched by the complications and the facets that adulthood brings. In this desperate plea, the speaker looks to his son as a symbol of hope, hoping that, through the innocence and openness of youth, he might rediscover the genuine feelings that he once held. The request to laugh authentically again is not just about laughter, but a broader desire to reclaim the emotional honesty that he has lost in a world that now feels increasingly artificial. Once upon a time, when I was like you. The speaker's return to the once upon a time motive in the final lines of the poem is significant as it underscores his deep longing for the past, a time when life felt more natural, genuine, and simple. This nostalgic reference brings the poem full circle, connecting the present moment of the speaker's plea with the beginning, where he first set the stage by reminiscing about a time when emotions were untainted by societal pressures. By evoking once upon a time, the speaker highlights how far removed he feels from his authentic self. The phrase, often associated with stories of innocence, purity, and untarnished joy, symbolizes everything the speaker now yearns for. A return to a time before the complexities and falseness of modern life took root. This yearning represents not just the desire for personal authenticity, but also a broader reflection on the degeneration of human connections in society. In this final moment, the speaker's plea for a return to his past self signifies his desire to recover the simple, heartfelt emotions that have been lost in the face of societal demands. The repetition of once upon a time marks a poignant conclusion to the speaker's meditation on the impact of time, society, and experience of the human soul, and it becomes a heartfelt cry for redemption, longing for innocence of the past that can never be fully recaptured. Let's now move to the major themes of the poem. The theme of hypocrisy, the theme of societal expectations and personal authenticity, the theme of greed and selfishness, the theme of loss of innocence, the theme of societal changes, and the theme of nostalgia. Thanks for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video.